We're live. As we speak, we are live right now. This is our
first episode and stream of what is it called? Wastrland Woundup. Straight out of West Virginia, Fallout 76, man. Brought to you by a Voltec rep and a strange guy at Rally Commonwealth. We're still here. We're still kicking. I think we're going to have lots of fun.
Yeah.
This is going to be our first, though. And I think I kind of want to figure we didn't really kind of figure out what we should start talking about. I kind of ranted on about some of that in the announcement, so I have yawns today.
Let's first talk about the fact that we once did a theory on whether, well, we didn't post it, but we did a theory on the Overseer about the fact that we were discussing that she survived the shotgun, the blast, or she survived whatever happened to her in, was it
current player at the Mountainside Bed and Breakfast, and players can confirm that she's back now for Wastelanders.
Yes.
Which is why we theorized a lot of stuff before that.
But we gave her the scenario that she theoretically did survive, which I wasn't expecting that she did, considering she was shot with a shotgun.
Hey, she sounded pretty much in pain, but she probably found a stim pack. And you don't ever see stitching or anything on her body showing that she would still be in pain. And given that she's wearing a coat, leather shoulder with the spikes on one side, and her vault suit, there's some things I'm starting to wonder about the healing properties of stim packs outside of Austin and, game theory. Like, way out of that realm of possibility. There's a lot of things I'm going to start questioning now because of that. Because look where she is. You have your camp right near that location. She was going, north? Or she got, a direction I think she was going to head and see if she could find help.
We never really did figure out where she went.
That was the end. Right, and that was the end. And that was even weirder is the night that she went. She's been all over the place. She went to
we
the
were
silos,
completely wrong. We thought
which are beyond her.
We thought she
which I thought was weird. I felt it weird.
We thought she went to just one place. Apparently not. She went to many places and brought people in from many different states into Appalachia.
Well, I don't think that's all her doing. I don't think
not
she
necessarily, but
I wouldn't say she traveled to the Mojave, or she didn't go to Lucky 13 or 38. I mean, there's some places she did not go. I know for sure.
Yeah, I know that, but she definitely went to multiple
a 76
places.
reference in that game. There's even a nod to it before it existed in 76 in the Fallout canon, where a Secret Service agent, she bailed with her stack of gold and went to the Lucky 38 and attempted to gamble with it and was assassinated during one of her little parties. That's canon. And it actually was mentioned pre-Fallout 76 in the Lucky 38 through a mass file hunting and or lore deep diving and a couple of dialogues. So that was fun. Your mic still must be on.
Oh. But
because every time I chat, it's like your thing.
But yeah, we were definitely wrong.
What are your thoughts on? Well, we weren't super wrong. I mean, we know she had to go to regular Virginia at least. She could have even gone to Virginia and then made her way down to D.C. and Boston. Because, like I said, D.C. is the Fallout 4 universe, Fallout 76 time frame. Voltec could have still been working, as you remember in the lore, and a lot of people will agree on that. Voltec's like, okay, on Reclamation Day, I want you to go to all three of the silos, Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie, and basically T-pose assert dominance if someone's there and say, Voltec owns us now, screw off. The concept there was like, facepalm, please. Cue facepalm sounds, and what the fuck is going on? Because, I'm a proud supporter of a lot of things Voltec did, given they were forcefully hired by the Enclave at all the universes canon to do bad things. Yeah. People are like, oh yeah, Vault-Tec's evil, but then the Enclave made them do some of those things. And then you look back and Vault-Tec created the Sons of Adam accidentally through the intentional nuking of that city. Yeah, you heard right. Vault-Tec's responsible for nuking the same city that the Sons of Adam started in. We're shipping a large nuke that looks just like it has a Vault-Tec logo on it. The Covenant was a genetic group, descendant section of a Vault. My brain does not work. So, hi, Patches. We got a dog. Come visit our little thing. Hi, Patches. But you get what I'm saying. There's all these vaults that canonically exist. There's Vault, there's a settlement. In Fallout 4, there's a Vault, the Point Dweller. And then he goes around, there's 20 or 30 in Fallout 4 vaults? Or we only have 5 or 6? We have 76. I would list them off. And the ones that are not open yet, I'll list separate. Open, we have 76. The 79, the atomic number of gold. And I know this is not right currently, but I'm going to put it in this chunk anyways, because it was until Wastelanders Vault 94 for the raids. Those are open. As 3 vaults. Then we have my personal few favorites because of the way they look. 96. Okay. 63 in the ash heap, surprisingly. We got... what was the other one? There was more than one. My brain just flatlined. There was, because that was 3 plus 76, 63, that's 5. There's 5 vaults, if you're counting them. And yet only 3 of them have been opened or are still open. So, and the concept of Fallout and their vault tech, we'll put that in quotes, and their HQ is in DC, which I thought was funny because the Bethesda Ruins is also in DC, if I'm right, as far as the right of the map as you can go. And you kind of look at it all. You kind of really look at it. Really, really, really look at it. Every game has their own chunk of vaults, and every vault... Oh yeah, don't pick Vault 51 for Nuclear Winter. That's top right of the map, or top left. Each group has their own vault. Each group is their own is usually a test vault, not a control vault. We were control vaults, but technically, with what Vault-Tec's motives were, as a sinister organization style, I think Vault-Tec kind of plays adversary, and I wear a halo while doing so mode. We're the good guys. We're doing it for the greater good of humanity. Kills 90% of Vault 111. We're still the good guys here. But in the concept of take a T-pose and go assert that dominance and play your T-pose card over every nuclear silo and hope there's people there to see it, how do you think that would go over? If you worked for Vault-Tec and you were the overseer of, let's say, Vault 70, 76, or hell, even a vault that exists that doesn't have an overseer yet, let's just take Nuclear Winter out of the equation and put you as overseer of Vault 51, which is the Nuclear Winter Vault. If Vault-Tec told you to go assert the jurisdiction of these nukes in the basic literal T-pose moment, how do you think that would work against military personnel and other robots that would likely be helping protect the bunkers and the silos? What would you say to that Vault-Tec rep if he told you to do that? If you said no, they'd probably take you down as overseer and probably execute you, knowing Vault-Tec's sinister behavior in a way. But what would you really say, though? If you got a ping from DC and says, hey, look, it's Vault-Tec. Oh, they want me to go T-pose dominance over all 3 silos in the state of West Virginia. Oh, boy, that sounds like a mouthful to do. I'm going to say, fuck it. Given I have actual military experience IRL, and at this point we have lots of gun training in the game, what's Vault-Tec going to do? And as you know, towards the end of the game's timeline, 200 years after the bombs dropped, there is no vault tech. There is vault tech, but they're not active that I'm aware of. Fallout 4, everyone's died but the rep, and he's ghoulified. He can never die. So, do you have any topics you want to cover regarding a vault tech or something of a massive lore or half canon perspective of the games that may lead to a further game procedure, like Fallout
Considering
Wild West or Fallout.
I've only played Fallout 4 and 76. I haven't played 3. I played like maybe a few minutes of New Vegas. Didn't play 2 or 1 or even Tactics. I can't really consider myself a Fallout fanatic, but I do enjoy.
Well, you don't have to be a fanatic to play to like the game. You don't have to be a fanatic really to have all the games either.
Oh hell no! But I wouldn't consider myself.
I've played all of them. I've played all of them, including Tactics, and Tactics was a BOS standpoint for a lot of it. That's what it's called, Fallout Tactics, because all the BOS runs on is bully everyone else in power armor through the means of tactical enforcement. Well, no one counts that canon. I don't even think it's canon. But yet it has the word Fallout in it. Same logo. It's on the same box that we got our game in. So I think it's technically canon. But I want to see what you have to say. Is there anything in the game that you find completely weird, even if it's straight up explained by an NPC? Does it even still feel weird to you?
Okay, actually, I do.
I want to hear the weirdest, and I can probably explain it.
Fallout 4, in of itself, had the weirdest fucking plot twist of all time, and you got to think of this from a parent's standpoint. You're looking for your son for the longest time. You think he's just a baby boy at 1 year old until you meet Kellogg, and then after that, it's mentioned that 1 year or a few seconds turned to like 70 years or something like that, around 200. But it really turned into 200. 200.
You spent your whole life in the vault.
Halfway through that, Sean wasn't taken until 60, 70, 80 years after the bombs dropped.
It was a few seconds for us, right? But Sean was taken halfway through that 200-year correlation.
Yeah, I would say a little bit over halfway.
Basically, the world went to shit, and Raiders were kind of ruling by the time that Sean was taken. But for us, it felt like seconds.
I have many questions. They did mention with lore about this, but you always see this thing like the quote-unquote villain will do something bad, but they'll never fully finish the job enough to make sure that there's no repercussions, there's always going to be repercussions, but they're like, yeah, let's kill this person's son and leave one of the parents alive to have a vengeance-fueled rage and come back and kill my ass.
Well, yes, it is a weird plot line, but you got to remember from the games, as a game perspective, screw the story for a minute. No offense, the best story I've ever heard in Fallout was that. It was like, well, okay, there we go. But let's screw the story out for a minute, and let's screw in and plug in the actual game logic. If they killed you too, there would be no Fallout 4.
Right. I understand.
So one guy's fuck up would be no game. I just want to put that out there just because a lot of people may have missed that. Kellogg is self-aware in a way. Not like human self-aware, but they're all AIs. Every NPC you see has an AI programmed into them. And I believe that Kellogg's AI plays the story loadout as take your kid and we'll kill the husband or wife, depending on which one you pick. Your character pickings change the gameplay of the story all the way through from being released, even going in it. You can do a hell of a lot of interesting shit, like charisma checks and shit early on in the game that I didn't know you could do until after I played through it. Like you could talk to one of the guards about it, and you kind of came in a conversation about your morning or something about the Vault-Tec rep, and it's weird. But I agree that the plotline of the game was really weird. He kidnaps your kid, who goes and forms this institute.
I wasn't finished.
And 200 years later, the machines fail?
You gotta... But I wasn't finished. You got to think of what comes through their head when you find out that your kid is older than you. Like, that's something I don't think any other game can say that I know of.
Well, I would have mentioned that as well a little bit.
But when I saw that, that blew my mind.
Try. Oh yeah, it kind of blew mine as well, because even then I was a first timer. I was like, oh god. Second going, oh shit, I saw that one coming, but still,
But one thing I've always loved about Fallout, at least since it went 3D, Fallout's been this kind of thing where you can do the story, and it's very much encouraged. But after the story's done, there's a lot more for you to do. It's more in the sense of a survival game than it is just a basic campaign linear.
Game was survival, though.
Yeah, but it's not like.
If you really think about it, the whole thing was.
What I love about it is the fact that it's not linear. Like, I love games like Fallout 76. The lore isn't just shoved in your face. You have to look for it.
Ow, my kidneys.
You have to you have to look for it. You have to be intentionally looking for some kind of remnants of lore.
Right. How about the fact that Nuclear Winter, if you have the audacity, if you want to call it, whatever, to play it, is a direct reference to XO2 during an update for Nuclear Winter that added it into the game. Apparently, Zax was pestering the fuck out of the Eastern Brotherhood of Steel. Not Brotherhood, the Western Enclave unit. The Western Enclave, or East. He pestered the fuck out of them for some XO1 to do something very Tommy, but it's lost? Question mark. No one. I don't think anyone that's played Nuclear Winter in this game, like truly played, can say they know where that armor is. But apparently they broke and eventually gave it to them, so leave them the fuck alone. And given Zax's lore and his story in this game, there's something wrong with that robot. Zax was a war criminal. In 76, he was a tribesman for the sake of bloodshed. And in Fallout 4, he was a self-proclaimed president. What was Modus? Modus was a middle-aged man with a demonic grin, and he wants to gas everybody and make Enclave the best. Something's wrong with Zax. I'll take Modus. Please. Just, Zax, go away. Just thinking about it, going back and thinking, when Zax came into this game, I went looking, as a Voltograph should probably not go to in a post-apocalyptic world, but I went looking. I mean, like, literally digging, like I'm unearthing bodies and skeletons in closets that were buried for years. Zax is the supercomputer that exists in the Fallout universe. Modus is technically Zax's computer. The parts of him are Zax. He's programmed to be Modus, the modular observation and something detection or something like that. It's a guidance he seeks and does for people of high power. The Enclave. So the Enclave had that is the brand of the computer, is Zax, Z-A-X. There's something wrong with the Fallout universe if their supercomputer is like, I want to put a bunch of people in a vault and make them go through hell to become Overseer. And then I'm going to call them the best candidate ever, kick their asses out of down to rank 1, if they don't all, and then kill that person straight up, outright kill the Overseer after everyone else is dead. Congratulations, you had to kill everyone to get here. Now I'm going to kill you after I boot you off Overseer, then I'm going to ask for more people. The 3 laws of robotics don't even exist in the Fallout universe anymore. And when I saw Zax, for example, versus Modus and their conversations, or Zax in the bunker via watching lore videos for like Oxhorn Origin, and then later on confirmed it through a friend I know that knows some things, it starts to scare me to think we're not far from that in our world. because the game did a divergence in World War II. Here we are, 2020, and yet AI can do and almost will do everything for us. Hell, Amazon even joked about making a drone at one point to drop your shit off to your house. All over the world, this drone would carry your package. That's pretty scary if you ask me. But here in this game, you have giant-ass tripods with machine guns and rockets and metal bitches with face lasers. That's a hell of a kiss you'll never forget. But you also got what? A cargo bot. What does it look like? It's a drone that carries packages. Please stop trying to be like real life Fallout. That's kind of why you diverged. God, it's scary when you really start digging and do, like I said, 200 years worth of lore digging and unearthing grave after grave of closets buried with skeletons of the masses. Okay, sorry about that. You kind of get it.
Yeah.
Are we going to be able to pause this live stream, or how about you keep them running while I go eat? You can keep them going.
I can just
entertain yourself. I don't know. Sorry.
But there's a few things I would actually like to talk about. The fact that, you know, when you start Fallout 76, if you were like me and you started 2 years ago when the game started, this has been, considering that this is the only MMORPG that I've ever sticked with, I'm very surprised in myself. I'm actually proud of myself in a way. But when you start the game, you have no clue what's going on. You have a few objectives, but you don't really have like a story-based objective until the fact that you start moving around. You go somewhere, you listen to the holotapes, you learn about the responders and stuff. You go and do things, find stuff out for yourself, which is in a real scenario you would do just like that. You don't know what's going on. You just got out of the vault. The only objective you have is what was set for Reclamation Day, is to help rebuild America. So in order to do that, why not figure out what's wrong with it right now? So in order doing that by learning what's happened to the people, what's happened to everyone that was around, where have they gone, why are they all dead, what's current issues, how can we fix it? The Scorch Plague was the problem. The Inoculation Project was the solution. It all kind of ties into what would you do in a real scenario. We have we was mentioning a few things before. The gold bullion, it kind of just, in my opinion, Fallout 76 kind of breaks away from what would be established in Fallout 4 because of the fact that gold bullion and both gold bullion, legendary script, all this stuff, well, the script doesn't really, but the gold bullion system that was added came with some new characters and some new things. But by the time you play Fallout 4, since it's 200 years, that's like about 180 years later, all that's gone. So if you think this gold bullion system worked, then there would be more of it, or it in Fallout 4. I know you can't plan ahead for things like this, but what I'm thinking is maybe that system crashed down. Maybe it crashed down somewhere in between Fallout 76 and Fallout 4. It could be interesting. It's interesting to think about. You know? Another thing is, when I was talking about Fallout 4, another thing I wanted to mention is the fact that the synths. Everybody is so against the synths, but people seem to. I mean, I understand Nick Valentine's a good character and all. He's a good, well, synth, but like he's still a synth. You think people would not trust that? But I do see where the differences pop up. He's like like an old prototype. I'd like to talk about him too. But it's very interesting to think about. It's another thing I would like to mention is the fact that I didn't play the Fallout 4 DLCs, but I have seen somebody play a little bit of that. But you do all this stuff in Fallout 76, and it is quite fascinating. And also the nuke silos. It is mentioned, it has been mentioned that the protocol does not exist for robots. But, you know, when you get down to the nuke silos, the Enclave kind of does own all that. But, I heard about a holotape once you get to the end of it. The overseer starts talking to you, or talks about the nukes, and in that holotape it just says, "I've not lost faith in you. If anything, I've lost faith in Vault Tech." That's the feels right there. And so many of these holotapes have felt like stories like Jacobs. Where's Jacob's holotape? Yeah, Jacob's holotape. He gets out of the Valley Galleria only to be killed like minutes after, which is super sad when we figured that out. It's just... You hear about a lot of these people logging their thoughts, and then they all end up just dying. I mean, everybody who lived previously in Appalachia had basically died, except for one of the vault dwellers, which was the overseer, and, well, us. But until the Wastelanders update, it was pretty apparent that everybody who had lived after the bombs was kind of dead. The only one that was still living that survived that kind of incident was the Overseer. She wasn't even in Appalachia at the time. So, when I think about it, you're completely alone in Appalachia. If you're playing this from a single player standpoint, you're completely alone in Appalachia. And, you kind of just figure out how everyone kind of just faded away before you even left the vault. It's really sad to think about. Another thing, it just...
Alex, you nasty dog. We're at the store, ain't you? Well, we're in a podcast. We're in a podcast, Alice. Have some respect. I'm very gassy.
There's a few things I was thinking about mentioning with you. I was talking about the fact that when you do leave the vault, you're alone. You're on your own. There's nobody alive, and the only person that survived the incidents ahead was the Overseer, and she wasn't even in Appalachia at the time. So in a real scenario, what do? You try to figure out
You're taking this from not that this is an MMORPG.
Yeah, I'm taking it from a single player standpoint.
Lore-based RPG.
From a single player standpoint.
A regular.
You're completely alone.
That's why I was just double checking.
And what's the first thing you would do when you would leave a vault and there's no one around?
Any vault at all? The same thing the game tells me to do is go to my first objective. If we're talking about real life, I'm going to go bang on that fucking door and tell them to let me back in. There's no point to reclaim if I'm doing it myself.
But here's the thing. If there's no food, there's no water left in the vault, you have to leave. You have to go outside. So, the first thing that I would do in the situation...
There is food and water. You just ate all of it.
Yeah.
Because you were in there.
There was, but there is no more.
You were in there for a large stretch. And the fact that a lore that I think I found, a bit of lore, that explains why you're the only one left. Quite literally why you are the only one left when Reclamation Day rolls around. Schedule. Remember the GAC. Let's take a time to remember the GAC. The Garden of Eden creation kit, Fallout 4, the water chip was broken, you had to go get one. What did they do before recruiting your poor soul to go get them a GAC? They started kicking people out of the vault to go get the GAC. They gave you a gun, they gave you food, they gave you some ammo, and they said, "Bugs, don't die, bring back that GAC or you're fucked as well as we are." And what did everyone else do but you? Die. So I do believe in this concept, though, of you being the only one left. I think Reclamation Day started as planned, but with a couple exceptions of the water's gone out of the vault. Supposedly, if we're talking about lore here, you ate everything in the vault. That's why you have to leave. There's no water. But let's talk about Vault-Tec being the sinister motherfuckers again. And I can say that with pride. I support Vault-Tec and a lot of things they do in the greater good of war in general. They have been known in the past to build doors and build doors broken, kill people with radiation. They up and admitted to freezing 99% of the Vault-Tec residents, and that one pod you were left in was just so happened part of the experiment to intentionally break to let you out. And as you saw there was what, a good 100 out of the 200 years in, your baby's kidnapped. Your wife was alive when they unfroze her. We know what's even weirder, the fact that happens. All the residents were supposed to die when that happened.